alive. Come on in, let's thrive and jive. In this moment we find our groove. On the swivel at the sports bar, cheering loud, feeling like a star. Good times, laughter, and every score. On the swivel, come back for more. Ooh, come back for more. Ooh, come back for more. Tasty treats and soulful sounds. Feel the rhythm, it's where joy's found. Ooh, with every cheer we come alive. Come on in, let's thrive and jive. In this moment we find our groove. Ooh, on the swivel at the sports bar, cheering loud, feeling like a star. Good times, laughter, and every score. On the swivel, come back for more. Swing on by, don't miss the fun. At the sports bar, the best begun. Ooh, come back for more. 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 Come back for more.
For a unearthed and one that Mike Florio read twice. Contract in NFL history, and then no player after him got one.
Watson is expected to get a 5-year, $230 million contract that is fully guaranteed.
Remember that?
Third most lucrative contract in NFL history in terms of guaranteed money, behind only Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson's $230 million.
Players who were better and didn't have dozens and dozens of sexual misconduct allegations against them, well, that's because of collusion. Double collusion, actually. Thanks to Pablo Torre and Mike Florio, we have learned that the NFL not only colluded to prevent players from getting fully guaranteed contracts, but after an arbitrator ruled they colluded, the NFL and NFLPA colluded in an attempt to keep us from finding out that their dirty little money secrets were dirty. Double collusion. Assuming you can get past Mike Florio tooting his own horn more loudly than the horn of plenty at Vikings games.
One of my major objectives in everything I do in this space is to find out the things they don't want us to know.
Then you should check out the full interview between Pablo and Florio on Pablo's YouTube channel as they break down this scandal that the NFL clearly wanted swept under the turf. And yes, I said turf, not grass field. I'm going to break down the important talking points from that interview and reveal how the NFL was investigated, found mostly liable, and suffered absolutely zero consequences for their efforts to make sure players do not get fully guaranteed deals. It all stems from a 60-page document Pablo Torre unearthed, and one that Mike Florio read twice.
Mike, you've read this thing? Yes, we can clarify that
Twice.
too.
Twice.
He read it twice. Well, I watched their entire discussion on double speed once, so.
This is something I can tell you, Pablo, with a high degree of certainty. They do not want us to know, and I applaud you.
Subscribe here and pledge your undying loyalty to me, Brandon Perna! Lanora Spots. You can also support this channel.
You know what? That's enough of that. So we know that there's a collusion. You can go back to that guy and check it out. But here's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to take a minute and go back to the beginning and just kind of let you know that you're on the swivel at the sports bar again, just in case you didn't catch that. And hit that like button on the way in, right, to help the algorithm. Share this link with some folks. Subscribe to the channel. And when I go back live, make sure you join the chat and be around for that, because sooner or later we're going to have a whole bunch of people here so we can have a lively chat. And of course, make comments in the replay when I post this replay after 9 o'clock and sometime today. And here's the schedule for this week. Of course, the schedule for this week. Check that out. You know, everybody has a schedule. I try to cherry pick what I think will be the best 5 games, right? So I think the Lions and the Ravens are going to be a great game. The Ravens are on the clock, right? My man Lamar Jackson's on the clock. You know, you got to win the Super Bowl. You don't got no other thing, no other choice. The Rams and the Eagles should be a really good game. I think the Eagles will probably win that game at home. If they come and play, it doesn't look like they're slumping at all. So they're gonna be a tough out, especially at home. The Chargers and the Broncos, that's number 1 and number 2 in the division. The Chiefs are 0-2, so they have to beat the Giants. They just have to beat the Giants. And the Giants might know that. And the Giants might smell some blood. So that might be a better game than people might think. And then the Raiders and the Commanders should be a nice, evenly matched game. Here's the standings. We got 10 undefeated teams. Of course, that's going to change by the end of this week. At least I expect it to. If we go into week 4 with 10 undefeated teams, I'd be very, very surprised. All right, so we saw the collusion. I just wanted to kind of catch y'all guys up. You know, kind of did it in a little reverse order and went with this first, but I got to do some editing and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, that was quick to just catch us back up to what you've seen. Everybody knows the NFL owners collude. They just collude about everything, and they have ways to do it without actually having meetings to do it. All right, so college football is up in center. Here's the 5 games I think they say are the top games out there. Texas Tech against Utah. Oregon State. Even though Oregon State is like a couple of tiers down below Oregon, you know, that's like that's a rivalry game. So it gets national play and all that kind of good stuff. So that should be interesting. Auburn against Oklahoma. Man, I'm old enough to remember when Oklahoma used to be a powerhouse. You know, Nebraska and Oklahoma were the games that you just want to watch, no matter where you were from. You know, those 2 teams used to go at it like bloodthirsty enemies. Tulane and Ole Miss is supposed to be a pretty good game. Tulane is unranked, but they're 3-0. I would imagine that O is going to go. And then, of course, Illinois against Indiana. It's always a rivalry between them two about anything. All right, so we're talking about the National Basketball Association. Again, now we hear a little scandal with Kawhi Leonard, and they're just paying him on the table so they can sweeten his pot. But I want y'all to hear a little bit about what's going on there. That made this
a huge story has just come out about Kawhi Leonard and the Los Angeles Clippers allegedly having an under-the-table agreement to pad Kawhi's salary while circumventing the salary cap. This was reported by Pablo Torre. His investigation found that Kawhi signed a $28 million endorsement deal with a fraudulent tree planting company that was funded by none other than Steve Ballmer, the owner of the Clippers.
You know, it's so funny, man, that Pablo Torre is now turned into some kind of, super sleuth trying to find out dirt. And he does his little impact. And so far, he's coming up aces, he's coming up aces. Maybe he found his niche, being what you would call him, like not the snitch squad or what IA. He's, internal affairs. That's what he sounds like now.
If this is proven true, there could be dire consequences for the Clippers organization, and it completely recontextualizes Kawhi's time in LA. So let's talk about it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Rusty Bucket. Subscribe to the channel. We're trying to hit 150K subs over here, so it would be much appreciated. We are also available over on Spotify and Apple Podcasts if you'd like to enjoy this as an audio-only experience. So first, I want to cite an example of something like this that actually happened before about 25 years ago. So let's do a brief history lesson.
Now, before we get started, this example is more to tell you about the ramifications of getting caught. Right? Because the parties involved is different, of course, but the ramifications back then were crazy. Multiply that by 25 years and now with the money that we're talking about.
1999, Joe Smith was a pretty highly sought after free agent big man. He was drafted #1 overall in the 1995 draft by the Golden State Warriors. In the 211 games that he suited up for the Dubs, he averaged 17 points per game, 9 rebounds, and 2 stocks. But his impact was a little bit lesser than those numbers would suggest, so he was shipped off to the Philadelphia 76ers, where he struggled quite a bit. As a result, he entered 1999's free agency class completely unrestricted. But because his rough stint with Philadelphia was just over the course of 30 total games, and he was just 22, 23 years old, he was still believed to have a ton of potential. But for some reason, he signed to the Minnesota Timberwolves for merely $1.75 million over 1 year, a deal substantially under market value at the per year rate, and pretty shocking that he would get a 1-year deal on top of that. But this did allow the Wolves a ton of flexibility to add to the roster in other ways, so it could be justified as him just being a team player. After 1 year with Minnesota, where he put up, again, pretty solid counting stats, he again signed for a 1-year deal, this time for $2.1 million. Again, pretty puzzling. Then a pair of agents had a falling out, resulting in a ton of lawsuits, which Joe Smith and the Timberwolves ended up getting caught up in, and it revealed the nature of the agreement between Minnesota and Joe. As it turned out, the Wolves planned to give Joe 2 straight 1-year deals to gain his bird rights so they could then sign him to a far more lucrative $86 million deal for his 3rd-year contract. After this was found out by the league office, Joe's bird rights were voided. The Wolves were fined a then NBA record $3.5 million. And then the biggest punishment of all, at least in terms of the future of the organization.
Wait till he goes into this punishment, And one of the things is that he wasn't really quick to say what happened to Joe and all of this stuff, because not that he was an innocent bystander, but you really don't know what kind of leverage he really had to not to go or not to go along with this particular deal. Now, remember, they dangled $80-something million in front of him, and all of a sudden, when it came time for him to get cashed out, the deal falls apart. Now, is that by coincidence or just happenstance, right? Because the team would have been on the hook after seeing him for 2 years, and they would have had to decide whether it might be more prudent to let something go to get this leaked out and take my punishment than playing a guy who they think is mediocre, $80-something million guaranteed. So, listen to this guy talk, and you kind of say, he doesn't really cover that, but this is my assertion that maybe the team didn't mind getting caught to get saved from themselves with the lie that they told Joe Smith about the $80-something million contract.
They had 5 first-round picks taken away. 5. Eventually, they were given back their 2003 draft pick, but still, this caused massive amounts of damage for an organization with a budding superstar in Kevin Garnett. The Wolves did start winning by the time that this punishment happened, so it's not like they missed out on multiple lottery picks, but still, 4 first-rounders could have garnered so much more help around KG. It would have helped a lot more than the extra cap flexibility having Joe Smith as cheap as he was. They did this for a guy in Joe Smith who would average 10 points, 6 rebounds, and 1.1 blocks as a Timberwolf. I used an article by Sean Hyken for some of the research.
That's why I said that in those 2 1-year contracts, he really underperformed. Now, think about that. So after seeing him for cheap, for whatever reason, for him agreeing to this deal, that he looks like he's only worth $2 or $3 million, you're getting ready to say, if this goes through, right, we're going to have to sign him to $80 million, and he looks mediocre now once he gets the money. Now, this is the same Joe Smith who actually married a porn star, right? So his judgment was already fucked up, okay? He married a whore, right? And then when the money started running out for Joe Smith, she went back to whoring, right? And still being his wife. There was a whole bunch of scandals. Like maybe a couple of years ago, there was a whole bunch of shit about her saying, "Hey, listen, you ain't doing it. I gotta go make some bread." Maybe I'm paraphrasing. She didn't say exactly what she was doing, but it was almost like we know what she was doing. And so this guy Joe, he's probably one of those guys that we would have to put a poster up and say, here's another cautionary tale of an NBA player who had everything but lost it all. Right? So this example is not going to happen to Kawhi Leonard, okay? But Ballmer may lose a lot of, and he probably doesn't care because he's one of the richest men in the world, and he'll just weather this particular storm over the next 3 or 4 or 5 years. But and Kawhi Leonard is not going to end up on anybody's food line, and but the Clippers are going to go back into obscurity, and the people and it's not going to be fair to the guys on that team because they're not going to win if this shit gets confirmed. And the punishment has to get meted out, right? So again, Kawhi Leonard is not Joe Smith. The owner of the Clippers is not the owner of, the whoever, Minnesota. It's a whole different day and age, but the stakes are a lot higher. And I can just tell you this: it's going to be ugly. But Ballmer is not going to have. They're not going to force him to sell a team. They'll punish him. And Kawhi Leonard, what are they really going to do to him? The guy's made hundreds of millions of dollars already. He's not giving any of that money back, including the $28 million that was under the table. They can't really fine him. I don't think the punishment is going to go his way. Anyway, so we don't have to keep going anymore. But this is an interesting story, and well, stay tuned, right? So more to come. More to come. So I missed out on saying this last week. Their Hall of Fame class of 2025, Carmelo Anthony, he deserves to be a NBA Hall of Famer, and so does Dwight Howard. No matter what you might think about his proclivities and the fact that he's always been kind of a strange bird, at the height of his game, he was pretty much unstoppable down there in terms of rebounding, power, and everything else. I mean, he's still pretty much of a specimen. He's just a whole lot older, right? So he deserved to be in the Hall of Fame. A couple of other players with him, he could have been a whole lot more if his head was, where it should have been. Of course, the NBA Hall of Fame is a Naismith Hall of Fame, and they have all kinds of people put in there. They mix the women, they mix them with the men and coaches and all that other shit, man. College, the way your college career counts and all that kind of stuff. So Sue Bird, everybody knows Sue, Maya Moore, and I don't know the last chick, Sylvia Fowles. I really never heard of her before, right? So she's a Hall of Famer. Congratulations to everybody in the class of 2025. For NBA players, it's just 2 that seems kind of light, but there you go. Carmelo's in, and he deserves to be in. And you know what? The Nuggets was his real team. He played all right with the Knicks, but the Nuggets was the team that he broke in with. And there you go. And same with Dwight Howard. He was unstoppable pretty much when he was with Orlando. So congratulations to that. The WNBA playoffs are around us. Round one, best 2 out of 3. And let's go and talk about that. And I didn't know this because I wasn't really watching the WNBA, but the Aces had a 17-game win streak, including the first game of their playoff against the Storm. And they lost last night, so the series is tied 1-1. And even though the Aces had this amazing streak to end the season and won their first playoff game, they're down to an elimination game when they played, I believe it's the Storm, again, their next game. Sometimes this week, right? They're going to play this game. If it's not tomorrow, it's soon. And there you have it. They could be eliminated with all this great stuff. And if they win the game, that might carry them some more momentum to the next round. But they're playing well, but they're on the brink of elimination because if they wanted to get rid of the Storm, they should have won this game here. They were probably reading their own press clippings. So there you go. So that's the biggest thing in terms of the team. Here's the brackets. So when I can find, if I can keep finding these brackets, as a matter of fact, I don't have to keep finding, but this is the brackets. The Lynx are up 1-0. New York's up 1-0. Of course, the Aces are tied. And of course, the other last one is also the Fever is tied. So there you go. There you have it. WNBA playoffs in full swing. Tickets available everywhere. And hey, playoff basketball is at least a little bit heightened excitement. Angel Reese or Caitlin Clark notwithstanding, it's playoff basketball. So the games really count. They really count. Baseball. I used to skip over baseball, but we know we have a home run derby kind of going on. And Cal Raleigh has 56 home runs. And he just had a spate of home runs in the last week or so of games. Just something to counteract Cal Schwarber, who had the 4 home run game. And so he's only up on this guy by 3 home runs. And they got, I don't know, maybe 10 games left or something like that, 10, 11. And of course, Shohei Ohtani is, he only has 50 home runs. Now I say only, but it's 3 players in a Major League Baseball league. They all have 50 home runs, and having 50 home runs is still a major yardstick in a season of home runs. So we have 3 men who have it. I don't know who's the next in line. I didn't really check that out before the show. Somebody else may have 40 something, low 40s, but I wouldn't be surprised if the 4th guy only has 30 something. I got to check that out. And here's the standings, and we can really look at how many games are left. It's like 10 games left. All right, and 10 games too many. Let's get this shit over with. You know what I'm saying? So we're a countdown to 162, and things are heating up for the playoffs. The home run derby is going well, and once the regular season's done, Major League Baseball playoffs, it's kind of always interesting. There's always something to talk about, always something going on. So there you have it. There you have it. All right. So then I have my section here on the swivel where we just have regular banter about almost any topic that's a little bit sports related or not. No, sports related, but maybe not the most popular stuff people talk about, and let's talk about it. So every so often it's funny. When I have some of the fellas up and we're going back and forth. So I'm, just going to rattling off the jibs, and that's fine with me. All right. So in Chi-Town Barbie, you know what? She has a shoe deal. She was trying to get Reebok to sell her shoes for $1,000 a pair because she believes that she has countless amount of people who would pay $1,000 to wear her shoe. And Reebok said, well, you know what? Hold up, wait a minute. We're looking at more like $40. And can you imagine? She's at $1,000 and Reebok's at $40. So she's overinflating her value to the world out there. And Reebok probably is trolling her by saying her shoe ain't worth more than $40. Because I don't think you could buy sneakers unknown nobody is selling sneakers at $40. Right? No name brand. Right? A Reebok shoe for $40. I call them sneakers, but let's just go with the vernacular. You can't buy shoes that are good for $40. So when they said they suggested $40, that they were trolling her. They had to be. They had to be trolling her. Say, listen, hey, honey, you know what? Let's bring this ego shit down a bit, okay? We're worried out if we could get that shit sold for $40. I guess that was her, Negro wake up call, because $1,000, she's crazy. She is absolutely crazy. So they settled on 150. So I think they had to shock her to understand that 150 is probably a decent price tag, a price point. So the only reason why they said 40 was to shock her back into reality. But the 150, I mean, I'm not, of course, it ain't for me, but I don't think it's far-fetched for the young girls to go to their parents and say, this is my favorite player, and I would like one of her shoes. It costs $150. Even in a tight economy, people tend to want to please their children and people who like that shit. $150 for Christmas, birthdays, or stuff like that, or just for an avid athlete who might be playing ball, I can see that price, right? I can see that price. So crazy ass Angel Reese. Molly Curran is leaving ESPN. And I'm going to stop sharing this for a second and go into a little slideshow. Well, maybe I don't have to. Let me see something. Let me just put this in the background for a second and see if I can maybe not that. Let me cancel this. Video file, extra slides, video. No. All right. So we are going to take that off, take that down for a second. And I'm going to put something else up with our girl Molly. Is it this? It's this. It's this. Not that. Okay. Right. So we are going to do this. There you go. Let me share this. Right. So we're going to share this and go live. And I'm going to put a little bit of all right. Yes, this is our girl Molly. She's on her way out. And so she's a good looker, man. So she renegotiate a contract for 2026, and she was cool, right? It's 10 years with Stephen A. Smith putting up with his shit. And instead of just being a regular moderator, she turned out to be, somebody that they kind of respected on the show, right? We can't argue that. But then she became part of the show, and she had a little bit of voice on what was going on, So she's a looker, maybe not the prettiest woman up close. She's not a baby or spring chicken no more, but she kept herself in good shape. A lot of people, and she was mixed bag. Some people didn't like Molly, but most people liked her, right? Most people liked her, right? And I thought I don't know if she's supposed to not leave till the end of the year, but they're going to probably be rotating people in her seat to see who they're going to choose. And they might, spend the rest of the year doing that. And since Stephen A. came out this week with a farewell to Molly, it kind of would seem kind of weird for her to go back in the middle, right? She wasn't there today, and she wasn't there yesterday. I don't think she was there today either. So I'm thinking they're going to put substitutes in there, rotating for like a month at a time before they pick the person they want. Well, that's not Molly, Now, if you're questioning me why I have that jam, well, I don't know. Why they got all these other ladies there? This is not Molly, So it's kind of crazy. Yeah, there you go. Back to Molly. So, where y'all guys think she's going to be next? Where y'all think she's going to be next? Because I think she's going to, be around for a little while. Well, she's leaving ESPN. I don't know if she's going to go to Fox Sports 1 or anything like that. So, we'll see. Let me go ahead and do this. We have some other pictures of Molly, man, she's not a bad looker. I don't know why they keep mixing other ladies with her, but anyway. So let me go ahead and shut up, and let's go ahead and give her a final tribute. All right, look at my man, Dana White. Dana White with this huge deal, man. I mean, can you imagine his turning the idea? This is the kind of stuff that keeps Americans thinking that, if you have the right idea and you build the right infrastructure, you can just make it, right? And so very few of us can ever do that, but the possibilities are still there. So everybody remembers when the UFC just came out of nowhere and filled the void that boxing refused to build because of the shysters who run boxing. So one of the things that he wants to do with this blockbuster deal, and what happened with the fight last night, is he's going to bring on and probably do a lot of deals with the sheikhs from the Arab countries who have money to burn and don't worry about the purses as much as these slimy ass promoters. And they're trying to get the boxers to realize you can make a lot of money whether you have a loss or not, as long as your fights somebody, as long as you and your fight are worthy for people to see. You don't have to be undefeated to be a great fighter, right? So the best, people want to see the best matchups. They don't give a shit about whether you're undefeated or not if you're one of the best fighters. You don't think Canelo, even though he had several losses already, he made more money on this fight with two losses on his record than he ever made before in his life for a single fight. He had 2 losses on his record. Now, we don't know whether Crawford is going to come back. We're going to talk about that a little later. Or is he going to retire? But now he got all the belts. But there's a fight out there for Crawford, and the sheik, or sheikh, or whatever you want to call him, is already talking about that next fight. We'll hit that later on. So kudos to Dana White. 7.7 billion. Come on. Come on. All right. Farewell to Ricky Hatton. He just passed away this week. He found dead at 47. And everybody saw his memorable fight with Floyd Mayweather and other fights. I mean, he was a journeyman fighter at best, but he has some skills, and he built himself up to a name well enough to make some money, right? In the boxing world, until he ran into Floyd Mayweather. I think he also fought Manny Pacquiao. I'm not sure. I think he did, but anyway, he's gone. He had some problems after he stopped boxing, drinking too much, and some other health problems. And nobody knows what happened just yet. Maybe they do. I haven't heard, but it might have caught up with him. Maybe it was liver, something. All right. So our girl, Angel Reese, decides to walk up on Terrence Crawford in his locker room. And so we're going to play some of that. So I'm going to shut up here because I'm the one who put this video out. And I want y'all to look at it. I'm going to promote my little channel a little bit, but it's only a few minutes. I got time. Nobody else is here. We ain't on no kind of clock. So I'm going to just play this for you, and I'm going to just disappear so y'all can listen to this. Hello, YouTube. Welcome to my channel, Unique Sports Talk. Hey, this is the day of the fight. Angel Reese happened to visit the champ. Before we show you this whole picture and them take a picture together, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button. If you saw any seconds of this, just give me the like to help me push this through the algorithm, my channel through the algorithm. Give me a like, please. And that'll be nice. That'll help me out the most. And if you want to subscribe, I come back every Wednesday and put out an hour-long recap of the weekend sports events. Every so often I have some friends up. I used to go live, but now I just tape delay it and put it out there, just like a lot of different sports shows. I may go live again once in a while. But hit this like button when you come in and look at little bro. You know what? No matter what you think about it, Angel Reese is a looker. And as long as she stays in shape, and I wish for her basketball career, she actually strengthens her legs a little bit more, put some muscle tone in it. But enough of me talking. She's visiting Bud Crawford right before the fight, and he's still all business. He's all business. He ain't, no time to smile and all that shit, but he's all business. Well, let's go. And this a quick encounter. And then I got a little tribute to my girl Angel, a little reggae beat at the end.
Hi. How you doing? This is my guy. Yeah.
The first match. How you doing, man?
Good. She taking that picture, boy. And it's immortalized, man. She's looking good in this picture. There's no doubt about it. So, like I said, there's an AI version of her and Bud Crawford together taking this picture, and it gets really above board. Like they start kissing and stuff like that. You can find it on the internet. I was going to play it. The old me probably would have, but I think it's so disrespectful to Bud Crawford, who's a family man. And, even though Angel likes to sexualize herself, she doesn't need to have me perpetuate that video. But it's out there. You can go on Instagram and all that kind of stuff. Bud Crawford starts kissing her, picks her up and stuff like that. I don't know. Sooner or later, they're going to try to make some laws against that, to tell you the truth. It doesn't get really, anything past just, some heavy kissing and stuff and holding each other. But you could tell that if in the hands of an X-rated guy, they can really go far with that. She really looks good in this thing. She's in good shape. The WNBA needs more pretty women. That's for sure. There's no doubt about it. So without further ado, we're going to just move on. I'm going to just freeze frame this picture. And this is, that's her and her thing. Anyway, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And here's a little tune that I put together.
You With every glance you light up the night and day. In your eyes I see comfort, passion ignites, a melody playing under the city lights. Sexy angel, take me higher, let's fly in the rhythm of love, just you and I, wrapped in the magic, we'll dance through the night. With you, my angel, everything feels so right. Silk and satin, you move with such grace. Every step draws me closer, lost in your embrace. A kiss on the edge of a sweet paradise. You're my sexy angel, oh how you mesmerize. You're the fire in my soul, shining bright. Sexy angel, take me higher, let's fly in the rhythm of love, just you and I, wrapped in magic, we dance through the night. With you, my angel, everything feels so right. Forever in your arms is where I belong. With you, my sexy angel, our love's a song.
Instrumental for Bud Crawford to go to and try to fight my man David Benavidez at 175. So he would have to come down and fight Bud, right? So I gotta do some editing anyway on this. Okay, so what's next? On the next day after that fight, anyway, this Japanese fighter won his fight against this guy here by unanimous decision too. It wasn't as impressive as he usually is, but he won hands down. He's a pretty good, but he fights, he's a light, right? He fights at like 122, right? So he's a junior featherweight, you know, so he's not even at the featherweight yet. I think featherweight is 125. So he is really small. And so, but he's really big in Japan. He's got a name here in the States, but it's hard to get big money fights when you're that small. You know what I'm saying? But I'm sure he's doing all right. He's a fan favorite in Japan. All right, so I had a couple of questions. So should Crawford stick around for another mega fight, another mega payday, and fight David Benavidez? Now, any of you guys who are boxing fans, if you know David Benavidez, man, that guy is not going to let Crawford just walk around like Canelo did. I mean, every punch is a haymaker, every single punch. And Crawford's not going to be able to dodge those punches all night. Now, I don't know if Benavidez's chin is as good as Canelo's, but in order for Crawford to get to his chin, he's going to have to get into that kill zone. And let me tell you, man, Benavidez, he has rock solid punching power in both hands. And he's fast. He's not like he's not fast, but he makes every shot count. Every single shot counts. So I would like to see that fight. but I'm not so sure Crawford could beat him, especially since he's tall and heavier. Okay, so we'll see what comes down. But Benavidez has his own fight that he has to, and I'm gonna come up with that next. And let me tell you, the second question and the third question we don't have to talk about because I think this was on for last week. But the second question really is, how can Americans afford to spend so much money on sports? I mean, we're talking, people always talk about every single day, the price of groceries, price of this, price of that. But, you know, USC just had a $7.7 billion contract. People are paying for that, right? I mean, the sponsors actually believe enough people are going to buy their products that they could pay that kind of money out, right? And then, of course, basketball has a crazy-ass multi-billion-dollar deal. You know, hockey does hundreds of $1 million. Baseball, hundreds of millions, if not billions. You know, where's all that money coming from a population, maybe even a world population that's pretty much starving? It seems that we like entertainment so much that we'll starve and go broke watching something that we enjoy. That's the only thing I can say. Right, a lot of people like me, right? I got pretty much all the streaming services. You know, I mean, I can't cry that I'm like hurting that way, but still, there's still money. And I think some people who can't afford it have more streaming services than they should. You know, so I don't know, man. It's a conversation. You know, so I think we have selective outrage when it comes to our money. We see our federal government is giving all our money away to foreign countries, right? We got the government giving money away to illegal aliens by the billions, right? And then we got people willing to go to jail over people who are here illegally. It's just make that shit make sense. I just don't know. And those are our taxpayers' dollars, putting them up in luxury hotels, giving them 3 hots in a cot. All that shit, you know, I mean, healthcare that we can't get for free, well, we don't need it for free, but for, you know, subsidized by our tax dollars, because they're giving it away to people who don't belong here. So it's really crazy. Anyway, so that's another story. Anyway, boxing schedule. Tank Davis has this farce of a fight coming up in November against Jake Paul. It's again on Netflix. And Netflix is telling you that you could call it a farce, but we expect so many people to be watching this that it's worth us giving these guys millions of dollars. There's no way Tank Davis can beat Jake Paul in any kind of real fight, because he's like maybe 5'5" and 140. Even if he bulks up to 150 pounds, Jake Paul is not only bigger than him by walking around at 210, right? He's in terms of size, and he's 200 pounds. He got to be at least 5'9" or maybe even 6 feet. I'll tell Davis, this is a farce. Now, when they say it's an exhibition, that doesn't mean they're not walking around throwing haymakers at each other. It's just not going to count on their record, right? And Tank Davis is so far down the rabbit hole with his career, and especially the last fight he fought. Man, he looked like shit. They gave it to him because he was Tank Davis. He probably should have lost that fight. So he's got all kinds of problems. Problem with the law, problem with with his girl, all kinds of crazy, stupid shit. And, and some people just can't get it together. But he's going to get rewarded by this fight, this farce of a fight. And, I'm calling all this. It's on Netflix. I'm going to probably watch it. Right? I have Netflix. I have the subscription. I like boxing. I'm going to probably watch it. And then, of course, the real fight that month in November is Benavidez against Yarde. And Yarde is a pretty good fighter. But he's not beating David Benavidez. He's just not. Not in this light heavyweight title fight. So it should be really interesting to see that particular fight. And there's probably some more fights. I didn't check them out, but for the longest, these were the 4 fights I wanted to watch. All right, so once again, I don't know what happened to my StreamYard. It looks crazy. And all right, so we come to the end of the show. Like, share, subscribe. When you see this on replay, I'm going to do some editing now. I need to. Share this, subscribe. When I go back live again, hit that chat. But on the replay, send me some comments. I'm having fun here, running solo. And finally, everything I used that didn't belong to me, fair use. And there you have it. The end of On the Swivel for the 42nd time in the second season. It's 42nd time in the second season, even though it's at 41st on there. It's 42nd. Anyway, that's it for me. And it's the part and outro. Take it easy and good night from On the Swivel at the Sportsbar.
Grab your friends, it's time to play. Join the fun, we're here all day. Watch the game with drinks in hand. On the swivel, let's take a stand. On the edge of our seats, we live for the thrill. In this moment together, we're feeling the chill. So here's to the laughter as we gaze at the stars. We say goodnight from the swivel at the sports bar. In the flicker of the screens where our spirits ignite, let's cherish this time as we fade into light. Tasty bites and big screen thrills. Every moment gives you chills. High fives and cheers, it's quite a sight. Join the crowd, it feels so right. As the game goes on, our hearts beat as one. Memories in the making, oh, this night's just begun. So here's to the laughter as we gaze at the stars. We say goodnight from the swivel at the sports bar. In the flicker of the screens where our spirits ignite, let's cherish this time as we fade into light. So good night, my friends, till we meet again. In this world of the game, through thick and through thin.